When I really truly look at my life like I did at turning 50, I thought my favorite was my 40s because I took care of my mental health. And mental health was my number one priority. I can feel emotional saying this because for so many years I didn't, and it came last.
Hey peeps, welcome to the Flexible Neurotic Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah Milken. Let's do this. Welcome back to the Flexible Neurotic Podcast. I'm Dr. Sarah Milken. This is the Midlife Self-Reinvention Podcast where we talk about all the Uggs and fabulosities of midlife. Today, I have an amazing guest who drove up from Palm Desert today. She's basically a pickleball champion at this point, but that's just her side gig. For her real life, she's a life coach. She's a hypnotist. She is a meditation expert. She's a best-selling author of 3 books. I'm going to show them to you today. And I am so excited to have her here. Her name is Camilla Sacer-Dallerup. Did I say that right? Perfect. And she's wearing amazing yellow, which is my favorite. We're kind of in like a color combo thing. Right? I'm wearing the yellow shoes, yellow shirt. I love it.
I'm going out in those later. You just don't know it yet.
Oh my God. But I have to be honest, I didn't wear them here because the escalator up here, I was like, I'm going to be the person whose heel is stuck in the escalator.
I've done that.
Yeah. And the escalator here is broken. I'm already profusely fucking sweating. But we're not going to talk about that. No. We're just going to, we're going to sail through.
Exactly.
Today we're going to talk about my favorite topic, midlife self-reinvention. I know that you're like the queen of that. Not only do you teach it to your clients, but you did it yourself.
Yeah.
So tell us like the quick snapshot of first of all, I forgot to mention Dancing with the Stars, UK champion, all the things. Like, what the fuck? Honestly, I couldn't even do like school PE dance. Like the dance routines were too long. I couldn't memorize them. Like, how did you get there? And why did you stop? And where are you now?
Yeah. I think that my story is just one of these many reinvention stories that most of us really go through in life. But mine was started at 6 years old, I guess, with my first passion was dancing. And I just got obsessed with dancing and it became my career and took me all the way through to Dancing with the Stars, or Strictly Come Dancing in the UK, as it's called, champion. And as I saw the world with this hobby, sport, career passion of mine, which was ballroom and Latin dancing. And it was incredible. But the scary part for me really started in my mid-30s when I suddenly one day woke up and thought, this thing that I've been obsessed with, it's been my life, it's my identity. Like I literally don't know who I am. It's like Camilla the dancer. That was my name. I know you said my full name a minute ago, but I used to be Camilla the dancer. Like people would just go, oh, that's my friend Camilla the dancer.
Yeah, the hot blonde. The hot blonde dancer.
It was the weirdest thing. It was like, and I remember suddenly starting to think, but I'm also a person. Like when did this thing become like my life, who I am? And that was a scary thing because I felt completely out of love with it. And I know that many people will probably listen and think, oh gosh, I know that feeling, something that I really cared about. And that could be a relationship or it can be your career, right? And suddenly you just think, I'm not in love with this. And for many years, for 3 years anyway, I prayed that I will fall back in love with this thing that I was now an expert at.
So you were doing it towards the end, but not loving it.
Not loving it.
And it wasn't like you had this major injury and you couldn't do it. It was just a psychological thing. That's so interesting.
Yeah, I was heading for a burnout. I didn't know that at the time. But because I never stopped. It was always another competition, another gig. Then, it was like being really successful at the top of your game, then Strictly Come Dancing came along. So I was just on this treadmill and I never really had time to stop and think, who am I? And do I want this? And that was the whole idea of why I ended up writing my second book, Reinvent Me, because it was really scary to stop and think.
It's right here, guys.
And at the time I thought, gosh, this is something that I might need again when, I might have another reinvention or menopause or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And I thought this could be helpful for me to share the tools that I used and I may need them myself again. And then for other people to have that at hand for all these times that we want to reinvent in life. Because it's okay to reinvent. I actually thought at the time, am I like being ungrateful because I have this great career and people love to remind me that you're so lucky, you have the best job. And I'm thinking, I know, and I'm grateful for all of the experiences, but I'm no longer in love with this. I have no more to share here, no more to give.
Well, it's important that you actually stopped and recognized the kind of like, now what?
Yeah.
Because we can't do the same thing forever. We always have to do kind of a reiteration. I mean, Arthur Brooks talks about that a lot in his work, and just that you can't be one thing forever. And the beauty in life, which is hard and good, is the evolution into the next thing.
Right.
Kind of the crystallized versus like fluid intelligence thing.
Right.
So I think a lot of people watching, including myself, it's like, where do you start? And what was like the first thing you did to figure out like, who am I outside of being this dancer?
So I'd used a lot of mind tools to win, to be successful. I'd worked with some really fantastic people, sports psychologists, energy workers, life coaches, hypnotherapists myself.
So you're like the woo-woo queen.
I was already. But I had used the tools to be successful. And it was sort of, although it had been an inward journey, it hadn't been the inward journey to what does it feel like to just be content, just waking up and being Camilla, not because I'm on TV or I'm doing this job or I'm winning.
Wearing a fabulous hot outfit.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was scary because I guess I was ready to sort of start at the bottom. It was just signing up for a course, neurolinguistic programming. I studied mindfulness, anything to do with crystals, aromatherapy, Ayurveda. Like I just dived in, and one course at a time, I just started to understand how I could use all of these tools to really feel good inside out, and without any of the outside stuff, without the career in that way. And I thought I want to share this in my books, and I want to help other people who are going through challenging times.
So looking back on it, on your experience and like what you have your clients do now, I mean, obviously there are so many modalities, mind-body connection, so many things. Like what's in your toolbox? Like what are your go-to favorites for yourself and for your clients?
I think my biggest passion really is the subconscious mind. Because it runs our lives 95% of the time. And I realized in my sport, I was not the best, most natural dancer, if there is such a thing, because for me, it was plain hard work was what got me there.
The 10,000 hours.
That's what got me there, right? But it was also really understanding the power of my mind and my mindset and how the subconscious mind could get in my way on game day if I hadn't prepared right. So I'm obsessed with aligning on a subconscious level. And I think we know so much within when we dare to be quiet enough to listen. I really believe that the dancing has helped me in the mind-body connection, because I truly believe, like I work a lot with the chakras, the energy fields in the body. I think our bodies constantly are giving us messages through these energy fields. Again, if we get quiet enough to listen.
So with the chakras, some people are probably like, what? What is she talking about? Kind of, I mean, obviously that could be a whole series unto itself, but like give us sort of the itty bitty version of that and how we could get into that. Because I know you do some online courses and.
Yes. Since we spoke last, actually, I've launched my own app.
Right, the Zen Me. Okay, yeah, perfect.
And so all of these courses are on there. And the chakra balance, and really, we have 7 main chakras in the body. Those are the 7 main energy fields running from the top of the head and all the way down to the root chakra at the bottom of the spine. Chakra means wheel of energy. I mean, we have many wheels of energy in the body, but when we think about all of these areas, the one that I like to think about sort of first is the throat chakra. Because somebody the other day called me and said, Camilla, I'm coming down with a cold. I've been working really hard. I feel out of balance. And I mean, that's the throat chakra, right there. The words out of balance, that's where we tune in. We understand, am I in or out of balance? Am I doing more than I'm resting? So we get these little signs, and it usually starts with a tickle in the throat, right? We're like, I think I'm coming down with something. That's the first sign. And I like to say
that was me this week.
Right. We can reverse a cold, I believe, if we listen. If you literally go, okay, I need to take care of myself. I need, like, tonight, to bed early, hot bath, sauna, whatever it is. And so I love using tools like that. If I feel a tickle, I'm like, oh, infrared sauna, I'm going to just early night, herbal tea, all of those things. So I think another one that people talk a lot about is anxiety, right? Our heart chakra. Sometimes when things are really weighing on us, we will say things, this conversation, this situation in my life is weighing on me. And we're pointing towards our chest. What is it that's weighing on us? What is it that we want to release? Sometimes if we release it in a meditation or in journaling, can be really helpful to soften that angst. Emotions we feel like in our bellies. We know this, you're a mother, that children often feel like, Mom, I feel nervous. I have butterflies in my belly. We go straight to that emotional center. Yet as adults, we stop to sometimes talk about, well, what is it that if we say, I feel stuck, that's our bellies right here. So when I was stuck in the in the career, I started feeling like tight in this area. I was like, things aren't flowing. I don't feel creative. I have nothing to give. I feel empty, pointing towards our bellies, like our bodies are speaking to us.
And you also referred to this sort of as like the three brains, right?
Yes. I love that.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So we have three brains. We have the logical brain that we all like to hang out.
I mean, that's rumination station for me. Like, that's my favorite fucking place.
Right.
I mean, it's not really my favorite, but that's where
you go.
I go.
Yeah. So a lot of my clients do that. And so what I found through the years of coaching was that sometimes when they're like, I can't work this out, Camilla, and they're super smart, like yourself, like super smart, clever. And I'm like, can you just drop into your heart? Like, just speak, like, just put your hand on your heart and ask, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about this? That's the feeling brain. And they go, do you know what? I feel like I'm done with this. I want to move on. And I'm like, are you listening to what you're saying? A minute ago, you said you don't know. You do know, but you don't really want to maybe acknowledge that. I didn't want to acknowledge that I was done, right? But I felt it. Same with the belly, the gut feeling. When we have that gut feeling, how annoying is it when we are kind of excited about doing something and then we get that gut feeling like, this isn't really for you. And we're like, oh, well, I'll try it out anyway.
Yeah, or it's like, right? I shouldn't have said yes to this. Yes. I shouldn't have let my kid go to that. And then something weird happens. And then you're like, fuck, why did I do that? I know, it's like our gut. And I think a lot of times moms are good at listening to them. And sometimes we ignore them. And then we just kick ourselves for doing the ignore. Because like women know shit.
We know.
We just know.
The sixth sense is a thing.
Yeah. And especially as a mom, it's like, when something's not in balance.
Yeah. So when did we learn to not trust that, right? When did we learn that? No, go to the logical mind because it's better. You go do that. You go do that. But it's not for us. The body is telling us. So I love that.
I think part of it is that we're in this world that's so performance driven. It's like, it's like, did you get this degree? Did you do your 10,000 steps? Did you check this box? Did you da-da-da-da-da? That sometimes we kind of like get stuck in the kind of metric game.
Yeah, and the doing.
I mean, how much can you do? And then feeling guilty for taking a break.
Agree.
Like, can I be productive while I'm sitting on my ass?
That was me.
Yeah.
I honestly, to be honest, that was... I had never had and this sounds honestly crazy as I say it, I'd never had a 2-week holiday until my honeymoon. Wow. And my husband was like, babe, I really want you to be present. I mean, this is so funny to me now because obviously now I teach this.
Yeah.
He said, maybe could you put your BlackBerry, that's what I had back then, in the safe and just like take it out
like,
one
no, it's my arm.
And I was like, I realized I was a workaholic. Like I was just working always. And I never took more than a week off because it was too painful to get back into training. And that's when I realized, okay, I need some serious like mindfulness. I need to take care of me. This is ridiculous. And after 3 days of putting it in the safe, I was like, wow, this is amazing.
You're like, that shit's over.
I mean,
yeah, no, it's funny how quickly you can get into something and how quickly you can get out of something too.
I was about to let 10 days in the Maldives like just pass on by without
while you were looking
present.
at your phone. I know. I think we're all guilty of that to a certain extent. Me. Now, when I was reading about you, you were saying that a lot of people tend to have, mental health issues throughout their lives, obviously, but specifically in the 40s and 50s, there's a lot of like mental health peaks, I would say. You have so much going on, transitions, empty nest, hormones, all the things. And then when I read about you, you're like, the 40s were my fucking best. That was like my decade. That was like your mental health peak. Yeah. And so I just want you to talk about that, why it was like that, how you made it like that, and how you're teaching your clients to do the same.
I actually have the chills a little bit because when somebody says back to you what you said, but that's true. I just turned 50 and I've had a great life in the way of experiences and all of that, which I'm grateful for. But when I really truly look at my life like I did at turning 50, I thought my favorite was my 40s because I took care of my mental health. And mental health was my number one priority. I can feel emotional saying this because for so many years I didn't, and it came last. And I was not okay, but I was out there.
But you looked okay.
I was out there, entertaining, making other people happy, but inside there was like a void, like an emptiness. And you can see, like, I feel deeply emotional. And it's interesting
because it's not like you didn't have a purpose. Like, you did have a purpose. The purpose was dancing and winning competitions and training and all that stuff. So what was the piece that was missing for you?
That I couldn't put myself first because there was no time to go, what do I want today? Right? Because I had to go perform. I had to go train.
Well, what can you eat today? Because it's like if you're eating on a regimen, you have to stay at a certain weight. You're not like, let's go to In-N-Out Burger.
Absolutely not.
Wow.
It was all of that. And you become you're on the treadmill. And so my mental health has been my priority through my 40s, and that's felt really good. So that means that there have been days, if I've not been okay, I would cancel my day or I would move things around to take time to have... I say on a bad day, that we can all have a bad day, I meditate twice as much, right? Because it's needed. So I will always check in with myself in the morning and be like, how am I? Meaning mentally, how am I? Physically, how am I? And what do I need? And sometimes it's like I need to go slow or I need to move some things around I'm maybe not okay. I listen to a lot of trauma. This week I've had unfortunately a week with a lot of clients who've lost people. And I always think I haven't got children myself, so I like to be able to show up. I think I can show up extra sometimes for my clients.
I've been to a Shiva already this week. And I know. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. So we have to take care of ourselves.
It's interesting that you say that because I was just saying to a friend yesterday I guess I'm an introverted extrovert, an extroverted introvert, whatever it is. Like I can go for 3 days, but like after this week that I've had, like I'm going to be like at home vegetating unless I'm flying to rescue my daughter from her sickness in Europe. But that's a whole other podcast episode. But like I know myself. Yeah. And like I can go and go, but I can't do it for weeks or months. No. Like I need like 2 or 3 days where I'm not super social. Yes. I'm kind of just at home, ignoring my husband through his daily routine of whatever he's doing and all his hobbies. Yeah. And just kind of just being by myself.
Yeah. And that's another thing about, I resonate with that because I realized through my 40s that I'm a highly sensitive person.
Me
and now,
too.
Are you seriously?
Yeah.
So that sounds...
I heard you talking about that on one of the podcasts, and I was going to bring that up because you said that like sometimes like super noisy places and all that. That's exactly how I am too. Like the thought of being at a club, I mean, there's no scenario where that works for my body.
No, because it's the nervous system gets overstimulated.
No, my nervous system is like, get me the fuck out of here. Yeah. Like if I'm at Houston's, like, or a restaurant and like the music's blasting, I can't function.
No, I agree.
Yeah. And you don't realize that you're probably born like that. Like I thought I was never, like in college, I still wasn't that club person. Like my body can only handle a certain amount of input, and then I'm like, okay, game over.
Right.
The shit's passed.
Give me the cocoon.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, weighted blanket, here I go.
Yeah. But we can still like to do things like that, and we can still want to connect with people, but we just need a lot of self-care and self-love and time out to
So how do you define a highly sensitive person?
So it's 20% of the population. We have more active mirror neurons in the brain So that was something that I found really strange when I was growing up and kind of overwhelming because I didn't know this. I just would walk into a room and I'll be like, gosh, that person over there is not okay. Like I would know and I would want to go and take care of them. And then you sometimes exhaust yourself doing that, right? And so I feel other people's feelings and
Me
I'm sure,
too.
yeah.
And not even just my kids. I'm like trying to help
Yeah.
my friends' kids and like it just never ends.
Yeah. So a really helpful statement for anybody that needs to hear this, is this mine? If you ever are in a busy place and you're suddenly starting to feel, gosh, isn't okay, and what's going on over here? I feel like maybe they're having a problem. Like, you know what I mean?
I know, but I would be saying that all day long.
I know, sometimes
because
you
it's
have
really
to.
none of it. Most of it's not my shit. It's other people's. But like, I want to solve the problem.
Yeah. I stopped being a fixer the day I became a coach. Wow. I cannot. So I share a lot of
I mean, I've already
tools.
arranged doctors in Europe for
You're
my
amazing.
daughter today. Like, I'm like, I've already done.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's my kid. But still, it's like it gets to a certain point where even my husband's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, this needs to stop. Like, it's stopping right now because I can take it to a point where there's no end.
Yeah.
Because
Where
I
you're
want
flying in and scooping them up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, except I would make him fly to Milan, I think. Well, I mean, I would just supervise from my phone,
Yeah,
maybe.
that's delegating. Next level. We need a whole podcast on that. I want
And
that
she's
kind
a lot
of
nicer to him. And like, there isn't as much of like a friction rub. I get the I love you via text, but she's a little sweeter to my husband, you know? But he's also not the one who's managing the stuff, you know? He's just kind of like the day to day, but
I'm the ice cream. and
yeah,
the popcorn.
exactly.
Yeah.
And she's 17. He's like, oh, let's go shopping, you know. But I'm the one that's like, get a refill for my prescription. Do this, do that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like different roles.
Yeah, totally.
I actually think I actually think both my kids, to a certain extent, are highly sensitive. My son, though, which is weird, he doesn't have the noise problem.
Yeah, some people don't. You can, and that's interesting because he's chooses sometimes to be maybe in noisy environments.
Yeah. But he also likes his silence. Like, like I remember when he was little, he would say, I really like being in the pool and underwater because it's really silent. Yet he was DJing at a club last night. Like if you like what? Like you have people screaming in your ears, like you're deaf, like it's crazy.
You can train
do
yourself. No, you can train yourself. Like I trained myself in sport and maybe he's trained himself. That's his passion. If it's your passion, you can make an allowance, but it doesn't mean that you don't need to recharge later.
Yeah, no, because he does. It's interesting because like he had a bunch of friends come from college and it's like they're going. And then I'm like, where's Jake? And then he's like disappeared for an hour.
There you go.
And he does his sort of like, I'm on my bed, I'm taking a shower, nobody's talking to me.
Yeah.
He has like the recharges built in.
That's smart.
You know?
I power napped since I was 16. So power
That's
napping,
my favorite thing.
Right? That just gets me through
My
the day.
dad and I can nap anywhere, anytime. Like
It's perfect.
airplane floors, literally. And Chick-fil-A. I mean, like I could do it. The problem is I can't go to sleep at night, but I can sleep
Right.
anywhere during the day. Like if you were like, you can take a nap right now, I'd be like, sign me up. But then tonight at 11, I fall asleep and then at 2 a.m. I'm like, okay, let's get this party started.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently when we get used to power napping, we can have that moment where the body thinks we're power napping at night. So we have to retrain it to say when it wakes up, it's like, no, this is not a power nap. Carry on. I've had to do that too.
I know, but what do you do? I mean, I tell myself to carry on and nobody's listening.
I put on I have like a sound bath. I have certain things that I put on immediately. I just go, okay, the body thinks I need to wake up now. It's not a power nap. So I put on some audio, sound bath.
Your husband doesn't
frequency.
care?
He loves it now.
What?
Yeah. You just put it on enough times and he surrendered a long time ago.
Oh my God. My husband surrendered on most things, but if I was playing shit in the middle of the night, no chance. Literally.
Do you think he'll notice?
Oh my God. The guy, I'm convinced that he has a hearing problem because he plays piano, blasting the piano in earphones. But like if there's like a door crack or anything like that, he can hear it.
I have an idea.
What?
He likes piano, right?
Yeah.
So there's some really good sort of meditative piano play. I think you could maybe just suggest that sometimes if you wake up, you're going to put it on because it'll benefit both of you. Wait for it. Because subconsciously it will inspire him and he'll become like even more amazing at what he does.
Do you know what he says? Like if I'm playing Instagram Reels, he's like, earphones.
Yeah, but
earphones.
that's annoying.
I know.
That's different. That's completely different.
And I go, why are my Instagram Reels different from your YouTube golf shit? Like, why am I listening to that out loud?
Yeah, no.
Like, how is that okay?
That's headphones.
Is
both
that
situations.
somehow more high level than my Reels or whatever?
That's headphones. Both
Yeah,
of
that's
them.
what I'm saying. I'm like, headphones. I don't need.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that's the thing for highly sensitive people. So headphones have to be available in the house.
I know my husband also likes to watch, he loves subtitling on TV. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so annoying. Like, I can't.
Because that's disturbing to you.
Yeah, and I also can't scroll Instagram while I'm reading subtitles. It's like a problem. You know what I mean? So it's like I need to multitask when I'm doing nonsense time.
That's funny.
You know?
You should have them all take the sensitivity quiz that Dr. Elaine Aron did, just to see where they are on the sensitivity scale. It's quite fun to know this about family members.
My husband is not.
Really? Are you sure?
I don't, you know, he is, I would say he is with like noise and stuff like that. But in terms of like having to take on the world's problems, no.
That's a lot for us.
Like he does, like our immediate family plans all the travel, like all that stuff. But if I was like, oh, can you solve Lucy's kids, whatever? He's like, I'm good. Me, I'm like in the back seat, like, you know.
We care.
I don't have as many boundaries as he does. That's like something I definitely need to get better at in this age is like boundary setting.
Yeah. That's as I read the other day, no is a full sentence. That's my favorite one right now.
Hard for me.
On the highly sensitive course that I did, boundaries has its own whole track because boundaries are vital for a highly sensitive person.
No, they're so hard though.
But they get easier. Do you know what's amazing is when we get really good at them and you just go, sorry, I can't make it. And there's nothing back. You're like, why didn't I always say that? Why did I have to go, I can't make it because
like
blah, 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 blah,
cousin's
blah.
aunt's sister-in-law's like pet pig is having a heart problem. I mean, I know sometimes like, I'll put my husband on a text and he's like, why would you give that much of an explanation?
Right.
Like, who gives a shit? And I'm like, I don't know.
Because that's how much we care. But we don't need to.
I know. For a confident person, I kind of care too much. Like it's not commensurate.
Yeah, that's being highly sensitive. Yeah. We care so deeply. And honestly, I have a lot of sensitive clients. I think obviously, you know, like attracts like, maybe in that way we can help each other. But it is so overwhelming sometimes, this world.
Do you tell restaurants to turn music down? I do.
I don't like a draft. I don't like aircon on my head.
Yeah. And like, I was at the Ivy in Robertson and the music was so loud, I couldn't even like function or think. And it was like lunchtime. Yeah. And I was like, do you mind if she's like, but we can't turn it down. And I was like, oh
my goodness. Yeah.
You know, it like takes over your whole system. Yeah. Other people are just not bothered by it.
I sit outside when possible because of that. Because it helps a little bit having the some sort of outside nature.
I know. Maybe I just need my own padded room. It's like a midlife padded room, you know, for just like all my super bitchy days. Like, don't talk to her. She's in her special room.
Sensitivity is a lot.
It is a lot. And I'm not sure 100%. I'm not sure most people like understand it. They just probably think I'm a sensitive bitch, but that's okay. I'm cool with that.
Well, we've all probably heard the sentence, you're too sensitive. I had that a lot growing up. Mm-hmm. You're just too sensitive.
Don't take it personally.
Oh, wow. So a sensitive person, this is the fun part, right? We would think over a conversation for 5 days, right? Somebody who's not will go, you still thinking about that?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I forgot the minute you walked out the room.
I know. It's like we've created this whole scenario in our heads.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah. So meditation is vital to cutting that loop.
What's your favorite type of meditation?
I like mantra meditation, or even just like words like
so you're sitting in silence repeating the same thing over and over.
Yeah,
that's hard.
Yeah, I like that. I like guided. I love
guided. But then some people say that's like not real meditation. Is that true?
No, because meditation is coming back to one thing over and over again. It's acknowledging that you have thoughts, because we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. Favorite fact in the world. And so when you're sat there and you're noticing your thinking, you come back to one thing. Now, when I listen to a guided meditation, I'm not necessarily listening to every word. And I think a lot of my colleagues would say, just tune out my words even. But it's just like you have a guide, somebody holding space for you. But the vital thing is that you acknowledge that you're thinking and you're coming back to one focus. And that one focus can just be your breath. Thinking, back to the breath. Thinking, back to the breath. Thinking, back to the mantra sound, whatever it is.
So what does your day look like in the real world?
You mean now that I play pickleball, like as if I'm a professional?
I mean, not only do you play pickleball, but you play in like one of the hottest areas in the country.
Yeah, like 94 to 104 last week.
I mean, I can barely get to my car. I was in Miami and New York for 2 weeks, and like I was like dying getting to the Uber, and you're doing a whole game and show.
Yeah, like 3 hours later. Our mutual friend.
I mean, are you on an IV drip?
No. Lemon and salt in the water.
I did that this morning.
So good. Our mutual friend Susie, she talked to me about pickleball for 2 years, and I said, please stop. I mean, I'm just never going to go there, you know. Then I went once, and some sort of obsession happened. I've been back every day ever since.
But I played once. I don't even understand the rules, the kitchen, the this, the that. It's too complicated for me.
I love it.
And the scorekeeping is hard too.
Yeah, you kind of get used to it.
And you've never had injuries? A lot of people I know have gotten injured.
So we don't ask those questions
cool.
ever, right? Because in dancing, we also never ask those questions.
Okay. So you're just ace bandage and icing at night. That's cool.
It just feels like the old days when I was an athlete. If something is a little sore, we're live. Great.
Okay. And does your husband play?
Yep.
Every day with you?
Yeah. Well, we don't always play together because, you know, that could get interesting. But now that we've both learned to a certain level, we can start playing together now. In the beginning, it was interesting.
Like together on the same team or
sometimes
against him?
Either.
Wow.
That's
but you're like a skilled athlete dancer. Like I'm a spaz. Like there's no way I could do that.
I think we should play.
Oh my God. You know how many people have asked me? I'm like, no.
What about your family?
I like the outfits.
Well, I'm also there for the outfits, but don't tell anybody.
Yeah, the outfits work for me. My husband doesn't really play.
Right.
Because he plays tennis and golf.
So he'll be so good at it.
I know. I think he kind of thinks it's like fake tennis. I don't know. He's a little judgmental about it.
Yeah, that's how it begins.
Yeah.
And then they try
arrogant. Yeah, I know. That's how he is about a lot of things. But we just were in Miami and they play paddle there.
Mm-hmm. Similar, I guess.
And he played once. And then when we came back to LA, he's like looking it up. You know what I mean?
Do you see what I mean?
I don't have that need yet.
Yeah. No, I didn't either until I went once.
But is that your main form of exercise?
No.
Tell me it is.
It is. Right now it is. No, I started out with a few years back when we had the pandemic, I started doing 15 minutes workouts with a friend of mine who has this great
Tell us
fitness
what it is. I read about it.
Yeah, Cara Fitness is
How
her
do you
app.
spell it?
Cara Fitness. She's amazing.
YouTube?
She has her own app. She's online. She's on Instagram.
I mean, I could do anything for 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
I mean, not anything.
Seriously, they work. I cannot tell. I built so much inner strength and cardio that I could not believe it.
So what's the workout?
It's different every day.
Oh.
So sometimes she's live on the app too, or on, she goes live, or you just follow all you should just like monthly challenges. Yeah, weights, all kinds of, from weights to sit-ups, everything. So every day's different. So it's fun. It's actually fun. And you feel like you're hanging out with her. She's so real. She doesn't pretend, oh yeah, I'm going to love my 15 minutes. She's like, it's going to be hard.
How much can you get done in 15 minutes?
Enough.
Wow.
It really, really
changed. I like that philosophy, the good enough situation. Yeah. If you tell yourself you're going to go to the gym for an hour and a half,
forget it.
It's like, fuck.
I mean, you're very disciplined, I feel.
I have been much more disciplined than I have been in my past lives.
Yeah.
This past month, I haven't been great, but I was traveling for 2 of the weeks.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, I'm eating, but I'm walking and I'm fucking sweating and 100% humidity. Like, I'm fine. And then I came back and I was like, do I have a runny nose? That whole thing. But Monday,
you're back in.
I'm going to be back in. Well, actually Tuesday because I have to record on Monday.
Well, if you go to Italy, probably Wednesday. But
oh my God. Stop. I'm not going to Italy to rescue my daughter.
I just feel you might be going to Italy. I'm just saying it.
Well, hopefully we're talking right now and my husband's managing that on WhatsApp. Okay. I'm just trusting that
He's handling that by booking your flight.
Okay. Well, he better be finding a business class seat on the best airline.
I'm sure that's being organized as we
I know,
speak.
but Milan's too hot for me right now. I just did Miami.
Anyway.
And I just had a pimple injected. There's too many things going on in my life for that.
So 15 minutes a day is doable, followed by 10 minutes of meditation. Ready for the day. Off we go. Walking the dogs.
And then
getting
when
the
does
steps.
pickleball happen?
No, I mean, so if I do the pickleball for like an hour in the morning at 7 or 8.
And we did talk about this before we started recording. Like, you wash your hair twice a day. I wash my hair maybe twice a week.
Well, because the desert washes your hair by you're drenched like once or twice a day, especially if you play pickleball twice a day. Not that I would ever do that. That's ridiculous, Sarah. Are you suggesting that I would play twice a day?
I mean, at this point, anything's possible. You play twice a day?
Sometimes. Sometimes I start the day and finish the day with an hour pickleball.
Wow.
Or 2 or 3.
Okay, I'm going to go back to that because that sounds like a lot for me. Speaking of that, let's make it serious now for pickleball.
Yeah.
Is that a hobby?
For now.
Yeah. I'm just saying,
obviously
you're a competitive person and you're an athletic and professional athlete to a certain extent. So, like, has it become less of like a hobby and more of like you're actually going to be like in the pickleball Olympics? Like, they added it to college sports.
I love it.
I just found that out. I was like, holy moly.
Yeah.
College sports.
No, I think we talk so much about longevity in life, and there's a lot of talk about what can help things like dementia and, just
racket sports.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I know, but
and
what do you
dancing.
do with someone like me who's like so low level? Like, I have to play with 80-year-olds. I mean, I could never play. Everyone's been playing for so long, I could never catch up.
Well, that's what I thought, but I just played with beginners
too. You were
too.
on Dancing with the Stars, lady.
I had no idea how to hit a ball over the net, honestly. But I find it interesting to learn. I love it because it's actually about using the mind, right? It's strategy. There's a lot of strategy. So by the way, do not underestimate somebody who's 80 because they'll have you if you don't understand the strategy of the game.
Yeah, as long as you don't have to keep score. But the physical part's a lot. You're moving your ass around, aren't you?
Yeah, but again, depending on who you play with, you can move a lot or not so much. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting. It keeps you on the ball, pun intended.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it. And I'm going to try this time to keep my hobby.
Yeah,
and my passion.
I was going to say.
Because that's what happened in the last career. It became my career, right? And so something that I loved so much and had so much fun with, suddenly it just wasn't fun.
But are you like an obsessive kind of person?
Or
you like to be perfect? And my husband's like that. Like, he picked up golf. And that's been like singular focus. He picked up piano. Like, he wants it until he's like the best at it.
I just like to have it at a level where I can have a game. Mm-hmm. Actually get the ball over the net. And I love the learning of it. But no, I'm not going to. I'm going to do one competition in the autumn. Just for fun. I'm just honestly.
It's just for fun. Okay,
this is fun.
Come back next
it's very
year
social.
You'll be like in the Olympics.
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's social. Mm-hmm. And we talk about a lot of people sitting on their own, right? Yeah. We have a lot of people feeling lonely in our society. Go play pickleball.
But you're not really talking during.
You do,
are you? Okay.
In between, you take
I'd
a break.
Wet and dead on the ground, but yeah.
No, it's very social. You meet people from all around.
Have you gone to card games yet in Palm Desert?
Card game?
Like, do you play canasta?
No.
Mahjong?
No.
You'll be there like next week. Yeah.
Not yet.
Country club card games.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll come for you.
Yeah.
Now, so if a client comes to you and is like, "Hey, Camilla, I'm 50 years old. My kids are out of the house. Blah blah blah. I'm bored as fuck. What am I gonna do now?" Like, where do you even start?
With the passion, I think.
Okay, well, what if you weren't a past flamenco dancer? You know what I mean? What if you're a mom and you're like, I don't have a passion? Like, for me, when people ask me that, I was like, I don't know. I'm going to start a podcast.
Yeah, well, exactly. So
I think it's sometimes easier when you have a thing. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, I used to love to do art, or I used to love to whatever. I didn't really have those things. So for me, it was like school. Like, I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to study. I got my PhD and I like to research. So I was like, okay, what could I do with that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll start a podcast. I'll research. I'll gather information on the guests. But
That's it.
not everyone can necessarily find their thing. And how do you help them find their things?
We talk about how do you want to feel? And they're like, I want to feel, connected. So, okay, well, there's some sort of connection with people then. What does that look like? What are some of the things you've enjoyed in your life? Well, I used to enjoy sewing or jewelry making or sports, so sometimes they join. We don't know the whole path. I think that's really important to know. When I left Strictly Come Dancing, I didn't know my path. It was extremely scary. I didn't know how I was going to make a living, by the way. That was like making a living was, of a new career was so far down the path. All I knew at the time was I want to explore more about the mind because I love working with the mind myself. And I want to explore how I can use that. So that was how I began, right? What is a course I can take that's to do with the mind? So when we start to ask these questions, I think most people, when we start to ask, and sometimes that's holding space and going on, I went on a, inward hypnosis journey with somebody yesterday, and they just they wanted some answers of some of the things that they really enjoy. And we wouldn't have gotten to that conversation had we not got quiet and listened. And suddenly this person is like, oh my goodness, I realized I love sports. It was just completely different. Do you know what I mean?
Through what like a hypnosis journey would feel like.
Yeah. Hypnosis is very similar to meditation, but I use the client's words. So it's not like I have a set script. I listen to what it is that they want to explore, and then I gather all of that information and I read that back in a hypnotic state so that when they connect with their subconscious mind, higher self, the oneness of one mind, whatever you want to call it, that guidance can come in and you can be like, gosh, I forgot that I really enjoy, writing. I'm going to start writing about, I don't know, cooking, let's say, or whatever it is that people, and so it just starts with these little small, I say, follow the first yay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is the first yay? Because not like we're going to have our entire career, outlined. They come.
But then it's like the inner bitch comes and it's like, okay, self-limiting beliefs. Who are you to do this? You don't know what you're doing. You don't know enough.
Yeah, we do hypnosis for that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's like a
you
common
could do hypnosis for like a full body hypnosis on every single thing that's going on.
That's a common one. So we start to sort of, because if people say, who am I to do that? Who are you not to do that? Why wouldn't you? You're here to explore life to the fullest.
I think because so many of us are so outcomes driven. It's like, well, what if I don't, it's not some huge success? Or what if I don't have 500,000 followers? Or what if you know what I mean? And we all get kind of like caught up in that, I don't know, that cycle. And like sometimes you have to sort of stop and think, what would I do if no one was watching?
I agree.
And it's funny because I talked about that once on an Instagram reel and one of my friends heard that and she was like, oh my God. And she actually started like a whole business because she was like, I'm not doing this because I'm scared of what other people are thinking.
Yeah.
And now I'm just going to do it as if no one's watching.
Yeah.
And she loves it. But it's that kind of putting blinders on, not ignoring. Like, it's not like you want to live your life ignoring, but like, hey, this is not about them. Like, this is about me and wanting to wake up every morning and have a mission and have a purpose.
Yeah. I like to use the words that the process or the journey has to be enough. And that really is something I think that I learned through writing my books, because once you write a book, it's, I might think that, oh, this is going to be great and helpful, but I don't know, once I send it out into the world, it's going to go on its own journey. So really the process has to be giving to me as well as me giving to the project in like an equal, formula.
Yeah.
And that has to be enough. Right. So I think that's really great what you said about your friend, because the process has to be enough and we have to do it for ourselves too.
And it never ends.
Never ends.
It's like you can always be better at pickleball. You can always be a better dancer. I mean, I guess there's certain people who are the best at certain things, but it has to be about like enjoying the journey, because there'll always be another finish line. And I think so many of us get addicted to that finish line. I'm sure you did with the dancing too, is you're like, okay, the next one, okay, the next one, okay, the next one, but it doesn't end.
No, but my coach told me that at a very early age. He said, remember to enjoy the journey because the victory is so short.
Yeah. I mean, when you see like tennis players retiring and all of that, you think, oh my God, like this has been their entire identity and existence, and they're 42 years old or whatever. Yeah. And now they have the rest of their lives to sort of re-identify and reshape and figure out like who they are, like you said, without that. And I think that's what a lot of moms feel with empty nest. It's like, hey, I've been like Jake's mom, I've been Marin's mom, and who am I now that they're off doing their own things? Like, am I less of a person? Do I have to like call myself something? What's next?
And I love that you always talk about that subject too, because I think, and I say this to my clients all the time, I think sometimes we pretend that these big moments in life are not really emotional. They're really emotional, and they deserve a moment or time or a year or whatever to go,
and they ebb and flow. Right? Like my son comes, he goes, and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'm good this time. You know, but then I know he's coming home in 2 weeks. You know, but like when he leaves in August, I'm like, I guess Thanksgiving, you know, it's different.
I don't think we need to pretend that it's not emotional.
I know. That's what I say to so many people who message me on Instagram this year, because I didn't have a kid graduating, but they knew I did last year. And I was like, cry. Yeah. Ugly cry. Yeah. Let it out. Go for it. Like, it's coming for you. Yeah. There's no way to hold that in.
Yeah. I've been, I feel like I go on so many college journeys because a lot of my clients' children now.
Oh my God. I fucking have enough with just 2 kids.
They send their children to me when they go through college. So I feel like I go on all these college experiences.
My God.
But you know, some of the most profound, beautiful conversations I've been, you know, a witness to is between a parent and a child, where the parent is like, what is my role now? What do you need from me? And the child being like able to say,
your credit card,
you know, have that conversation. And but to understand that, hey, I'm just a little bit lost because I've had to be there, like, you know, in a certain way, and now I'm not needed like that. So it's actually so beautiful to watch when they have that conversation
My
together.
son appeases me a lot more than my daughter. You know what I mean? Like, he'll feed me little bits of like updates. You know, my she's 17. He wasn't like that at 7. He's going to be 20 now. So it's like a little bit older, a little bit wiser. Yeah. Like if I text her, she'll shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like if I text her, she'll be so happy. If I tell her that I called my grandmother, you know, he does a little more appeasing at this point. But I did tell you that my daughter did thank me this morning for finding the doctor in Europe for her.
And she'll thank you when you fly over to get her.
Are you coming to Milan?
I wouldn't mind. If we can stop by Denmark on the way and say hi to my family if you want.
No problem.
I think we got to leave.
There might be some really good shopping, but I hear it's hot right now. So
that's probably great.
Now, when I was reading about you, we talked about this for a second a minute ago, but I like to leave listeners with kind of like one-liner mantras and little things. It was, what do I need right now? Yeah. And you mentioned that before. And I feel like that's like a very important, it seems menial, but it's actually a really important, profound question.
Yeah. And by the way, I've asked this question. This is something that came in when I wrote this, the third book, It's Not You, It's Me. I would go into these corporate gigs and I would get everybody to close their eyes and put their hand over their heart and say, how am I? And sometimes, honestly, these amazing, you know, strong business people, they would just like little tear because they hadn't asked themselves for so long how they were.
Because they feel like shit.
Well, they were just so stressed and busy and in the doing. And they were like, how am I? And then what do I need? And honestly, the what do I need can be so simple, like call your friend, go for that walk.
Or sit in your room by yourself.
Sit in your room, read that book, have a bath, whatever. But that tuning in is a really great reminder. It takes like, 30 seconds to a minute.
Why do you feel so guilty about it?
I don't know. I was raised the same way, to just like get on with it.
And I think as women, we feel more guilty about it. Like my husband has no problem. Like I'm going to play golf for 50 fucking hours. You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
No problem. Me, I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this. And like Marin needs that. And like I told Jake I'd pick up this, you know, but he's like, bye.
Yeah.
And it's not that he's selfish. It's the boundary thing again, I think. He just is like, this is my time. I'm a good husband. I'm a good dad. And like, this is my boundary right now.
Yeah. I've had to train myself I have to still speak to myself, Camilla, it's Sunday. Go do whatever you want and you do not need to feel guilty about it. But that I've had to train myself to say and to do.
Can you hypnotize yourself?
Well, my husband studied hypnotherapy too, so sometimes I write a script and I hand it to him.
I'm trying to think of who it was. Someone said that they did hypnosis with you for candy and sweets. I should probably do that. I'm not an alcohol person, but I definitely am like a chocolate gummy bear person. Tell me how that works.
Well, I mean, you have to want to give something up. It's like anything, cigarettes, whatever, you have to want to not do it. And then you tell me we figure out what is it actually that you're searching for in that moment. Sugar is an addiction, you know what I mean, that we start to crave it, but there's often something else that we're looking for in that moment. Sometimes it can be connection. Sometimes it can be love. It can be all sorts of things for people. And then again, as you speak and tell me the words, and then I create the script and read it back to you and in this hypnotic state.
And obviously one time is probably not.
See, that's the thing. For some people, depending on where they are on their journey, how ready they are, it can be. But also I record the tracks so people can listen to it again. But it really depends on, obviously, people who are doing some sort of mind training already, like meditation or whatever, would get a quicker result often because they've sort of conditioned their mind to change.
The whole mind-body connection thing is so mind-boggling. The fact that all of these things can be controlled, it's hard to get your head around.
Yeah. The reason why I fell in love with the mind was when my coach at 13 taught me that I could sit and visualize myself doing my steps correctly, and my mind wouldn't know if I had just imagined it or actually done it.
Okay, I've heard that, and I'm like, oh, so I don't have to lift weights? My body's imagined that I've lifted weights?
Read the research. There's research on that regarding the building a six-pack, but you do have to do some sort of gentle contraction, and really there's a certain amount of time, by the way, that you have to do it.
Go do this.
So I think I'd rather do in that instant, I'd rather do the 15 minutes. But visualization in that way is something that I have used in my entire career and life. And I teach my clients to do because it works. I imagine living here before I knew I was going to move here, and I'd never been to LA, and before I moved here and became an American citizen.
And I love your story about moving to Palm Desert. Tell everyone that. Well, I like it because it's about this kind of like trying new things and doing an experiment and seeing where the experiment takes you.
That's it. My husband and I were living in LA 10 years, and then we went to the desert just to spend a month. And we just had so much fun. We just really loved the mountains and the peacefulness there. And as we were about to leave, my husband was like, and I never thought he would say that, why are we going back to LA actually? And he didn't have to say that twice. So I said, let's ring the Airbnb and see if they're available for a year. Wow. They weren't. So we ended up, making other arrangements. But within 2 months, we decided to go on an adventure and move there. And I don't know how long we'll be there or where we enjoy it.
I love that. My husband's definitely in that stage right now. Like, let's go visit New York. Let's go. And I'm like, we're not moving. He's like,
what's his number? I'm going to call him and invite you up to the desert just for a day.
I know. No, the desert and golf would kill me, honestly.
It's so
I would be
brilliant.
a golf widow in 5 seconds.
But you play pickleball. You come to the club with me.
I mean, that's so much hair washing for me. I don't know about that.
I think I need to really ease off with the pickleball. I'm selling it hard.
I know. And how can you keep your skin not dry? Like, you're out in the sun, you're living in Palm Desert, and you're over 50, and you look the way you do. What's the secret?
Water and oil. Water inward, oil on the face.
But you can't wear oil in the sun, can you?
I put some on first thing and in the evenings.
Wow. Because you would have to have a tremendous amount of hydration.
Yes, tremendous.
I mean, I would be like on an IV drip all the time.
Yeah, you get used to it. You don't go anywhere without having like water at hand.
Oh my gosh, wow.
And the lemon and the salt, that was a really good tip that I got given.
Do you put the Celtic salt on your tongue?
I just put it in the bottle.
Oh, someone told me you have to put it on your tongue for it to like instantly absorb. So I do my tongue.
Love that.
Then I almost choke.
Yeah.
Because it's nasty. And then I put it in my water with the lemon. And my husband's like, what kind of science experiment is happening right now?
It's good.
And then I chase him with the salt. And he's like, get the fuck away from me with your salt. It's like a Ziploc bag. He's like,
I love your Ziploc bag. I'm like that when I try.
I know, but he's like, when did you like turn into like Grandma Ruth? Like with all these, my grandmother used to like carry Ziploc baggies. He's like, when did you become that person? I'm like, it's just so convenient.
Yeah.
Like you bring your supplements, you don't have to have a box. It's just these cute little, but then I'm like the person on the trip where my kids ask me for something and I'm like the gross person who's taking 100 Ziploc bags out of the bag. It's not a good look.
But I was
But it's
always
practical.
that person. On Dancing with the Stars, they would always be like, where's Camilla's handbag?
Yeah.
Because there will be some snacks in there.
Yeah,
healthy.
gummy bears.
Oh, yeah.
I
all
have
of
it all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm with you. Like we're friends
And my
on
husband's
that.
like a klepto. He like steals all my snacks, steals all my shit, all the things that he yelled at me that I wasn't allowed to bring on the trip.
Yeah. That's my
He's
husband.
like, oh, do you have a Band-Aid?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you need a Band-Aid because your shoe's rubbing your foot. Let me pull one out for you. I mean, who carries a Band-Aid?
Yeah. But then they were like, travel carry-on and don't bring any of it.
He's like, you have 2 suitcases. And I'm like, yeah, and I also have like all the shit that you need.
Yeah, it's good.
Now, with all of your clients in this midlife zone, what would you say are like, I don't know, like your biggest pieces of advice, the things that you're seeing? Because I feel like there's so many of us who are like, I'm stuck.
I think that
Playing pickleball?
I think we all need to change the narrative a little bit. I think we all have to accept that change is part of life and every single day is a gift. I honestly hear and see so much every single day that my motto is just like, I'm so grateful for another day. And that means aging too. So we know so much now about diet and tools and mind tools and meditation and all of it that we can use, and earthing and walking and infrared. So like we're so lucky. We know so much for longevity. You know, do you do the cold shower, the cold bath?
But then you feel like there's so much, but like, how do you close the gap between knowing and actually fucking doing? And I think that was like one of the steps in your book too, is where you're like, okay, you like actually have to take an action step, no matter how small it is, or this thing is not, your change is not coming, because you have to make the little change to create the momentum.
Yeah. But it starts with, accepting where we're at and accepting that there are things that have changed in our lives. Our bodies are changing. I can't eat the same diet as I could 10 years ago. I've cut alcohol, because it didn't agree with my body. So the action steps come by, again, listening to our body. Our body is giving us signals, right? Through these transformational years where we are changing. And the more we can accept and embrace, because resistance is like a block. When we resist, like, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to. I didn't want necessarily to give up a nice glass of red wine, but I also didn't want to feel horrible and have sleepless nights.
I know. I don't drink at all.
Right.
So you don't have to convince me. Like, there's no scenario where I would rather eat gummy bears all day long than drink alcohol.
Yeah. Sugar.
Yeah.
I had to be honest. I love sugar. I've had to cut it down to a little bit of a less, because my body was, again, like, not loving it.
Yeah.
So
Muffet Top City.
So it's just really listening and embracing, and I think we're all part of changing the narratives by embracing all of it and doing the things that make us happy, like having an idea of moving somewhere. Do it.
I also think I think also knowing that you're not alone.
Yes.
And that you're not the only person who's feeling like a little stuck, a little like, okay, what's next for me?
Yeah.
Is like half the battle. Because I think even like with my platform, like women just saying like, oh my God, I thought like I was the only one feeling this way. It's so nice to know that there's, not that you want other people to be in your misery with you, but just knowing that it's not unique to you. Like there's not something wrong with you. Like, why are you so upset that your kids are leaving? Like, why are, Yeah, like that's normal.
Yes. And I get to say that to clients, right? I get to say, literally had 10 people tell me that this month. It's fine. You're good. You're okay. You're allowed to feel upset. Things are changing. But also, are you also excited about that thing that you mentioned that you really wanted to do when you had time? Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like diving in and looking at what now?
Yeah, it's kind of like having things to look forward to. And even if they're little things, it's like you have a dinner on Thursday with people that you really want to be with, not just the have-tos.
Yes.
And I don't feel like you have to have like a million of them. No. It's just a few glimmers of things where you're like, I actually get joy out of that. That doesn't feel burdensome or annoying to me.
Yes. Yes.
And I feel like that's one of the gifts of midlife, I think, if you embrace it, is that it's like your time to say like, hell no, fuck yeah, like
100%.
Zero fucks, the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't care what other people think, but I don't care what other people think.
Yeah. No. That's
like it's
part of aging. That's
I mean, obviously I don't want to make it personal, but it's like, this is what works for me.
Yeah.
And like, this doesn't work for me. And that's it. And I feel like everyone has their own version of that.
Agreed.
And part of the beauty of being this age is like, okay, you get Botox. I'm not going to get Botox.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm not judging you for what you're doing.
Totally.
You just do your thing.
Totally. And I think that's important too. Like you said, there are so many tools. Pick the tools that work for you and roll with that. I know there are many, that don't work for me or that I'm not interested in, but I've picked some that work for me, and that's my routine.
So it's Reiki. I read that about you.
Yeah. Meditation.
Reiki, meditation. Sound baths.
Infrared saunas. I love so
infrared
much.
Saunas.
Red light therapy.
How often are you doing the infrared sauna?
So in the winter, a lot, 2 or 3 times a week. But in the summer right now, because honestly, it's like living
your life's
in
the
an infrared
sauna.
I can feel, again, I'm in tune with my body. I get out, I get the sunlight in the morning. I find that's really important when the sun is first up. Just like 5 or 10 minutes enjoying that cup of coffee with that. So I feel like I'm getting enough of that in the summer, living in the desert. But other than that, I'm not one that likes to cold plunge. But if I'm feeling...
Can you imagine me cold plunging?
I think you would just love it.
Oh my God. My God. That would not be a good scene for me.
No. So, but I know so many of my clients and friends who love it.
Yeah.
That's great. I really don't want that. I'll turn the shower maybe on.
I do that. I know I do that. It's good for your hair too. It keeps it blow dry longer if you run the cold water on your hair at the end.
Which is irrelevant to me.
Well, for me, it's fully relevant because I got to make that shit last for at least 4 or 5 days. Yeah. So like anything I can do to not have to do my own hair.
Exactly.
That's my daughter's favorite thing. Like when I'm on a trip, when she was texting me from Europe, she's like, you're on day 8. When are you washing your hair? Have you had to wash your hair? It's like a running joke because she washes her hair every day.
That's funny.
But for me, it's like it's a big thing.
That's amazing.
I know.
Each to their own.
It's very high level shit. Believe me.
Yeah.
Now, if you had one piece of advice as we wrap up for midlife women who are trying to figure out like what's next and what they need and what feels good, what would it be?
Accept where you're at, accept everything about the situation, because that's surrender. And in surrender, that's flow. And then just follow the first yay. Well, as soon as I say yay, I feel like in the stomach, right? That's fun. Don't know why, but I'm going to do it because that feels yay. And see where it leads you. Sometimes it's you go to that thing, you have that conversation with someone, and suddenly you've exchanged information, and suddenly you learned about a book, and that book gets you there, or this podcast gets you there, or you hear something that you don't know where it's going to lead you, but just follow the first yay.
It's like a breadcrumb trail of synchronicity. I've loved
100%.
having you. I'm so glad we could finally get it arranged and on the books.
Thank you.
I hope you got to play pickleball today. Maybe you
Not
didn't.
yet.
No, not yet. Oh, so you could play at like 10 o'clock at night. It'll still be 150 degrees in Palm Desert.
Work for the weekend.
Oh my God.
So
Okay,
no
show the
pickleball.
camera your books.
Okay.
And tell us about each one.
Okay, hang on. So we have, we here. Yeah. So this is Dream Believe Succeed. This was my first book. It's half bio, half self-help of how I got through heartbreak and how this may support you too, how I did follow my dream, and it was a lot of hard work, but there's some tips and tools how to do that and get through it even when you think that this is never going to happen. It happened. Reinvent Me, reinvention at every, whatever age we needed, we can reinvent again and again. There's no, time frame on that. Reinvent at any time. There's a lot of stories out there, people that reinvented late in life even. So just go for it. The tips and tools in this 8-step program in there. And it's not you, it's me. It's all about self-care and self-love, self-acceptance. It talks about the subconscious mind and how the patterns that we have from our childhood can affect us now and so forth. And also about the chakras in here. So if you've enjoyed listening to us talk about the chakras, you might enjoy this.
So good. Okay, tell us where we can find you.
Okay, on my website, zenme.tv, or the Zen Me app, or lots of other apps as well that have meditation. You'll find me on there. Instagram at Camilla Dallerup.
Okay, you have to spell that for everyone.
At Camilla Dallerup, Camilladallerup.
Amazing. Oh my God. Loved having you.
Thank you so much.
We shoveled through so much midlife shit with this Master Golden shit shovel. I mean, I might even have to let you take that to pickleball just to
Seriously.
Make a scene,
Can you do a podcast from your first experience at pickleball? I would like to introduce you. When the temperatures drop, we'll do it on a day where you won't need to redo your hair.
Okay, that's good. That's good. It's like I have a blow dry right after.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try. Okay. I've only done it once, and it was at a birthday party.
I will personally be there to guide you.
Yeah, it seems really hard. But
Your
as long
husband
as
can go play golf.
I have a good outfit. If I have a good outfit, maybe a spray tan.
Yeah.
Even though the spray tan might rub off with all that heat and humidity.
No, we'll wait for it to go down a little. So in the autumn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.